Hi guys, welcome back to our video again. So in this video, we got to test ride this ADV350. So first off, we take a look at the exterior or the design of the ADV. So you still get that two very sharp headlight that comes from the ADV350. You get two inverted fork. The inverted fork is a full-length triple cam inverted fork, unlike most of the scooter, where it only starts from the bottom. A non-adjustable, it's just a standard fork. And then you have a single-sided disc, ABS, and then it has this very spoke-inspired kind of rim, but still is a cast rim. Then we will also see this kind of aerodynamic design, which is hollow inside. As you can see here, which is hollow inside. But it makes the whole bike feel a little bit more bulkier. So you also get your adjustable windshield. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps of it. But you need two hands to pull it up to adjust it. With one hand holding the camera, we can't do it, so we can try it later on, see how good the wind protection is. It comes with standard handguard, pretty sharp lines at the rail, and then this is the interesting part where the airbox have an open port here. Usually, I think the scooter has a tube in front, but this one is right smack open at the front here. The rear suspension is gas, so you have that gas cylinder here instead of the standard spring and oil where you find in your Forza 350. So let us turn it on and see how it looks like. So you got your daytime running light, LED, and then you will have your rear brake light. So you got a little bit like an off-road oriented, maybe a 90-10 kind of tires by Menzilla. So if you look at the control, it's pretty straightforward. Your standard keyless control where you press on this, turn it on. And then you got your off, and then you got your seat, okay, or your fuel cap. So the fuel cap is pretty much standard as a scooter, but the depth is quite deep though. Okay, so the under seat can fit two helmets. So we tried a standard open face helmet, it can fit in. But when it comes to an ADV helmet with a big, there's no way you can do it. Start again. So press on, turn on. So you have a LCD screen which shows you the rev, the speed, and some time and some other information. So you have a lot of buttons here that you can trigger, up, down, left, right, and then your traction control where you press it to make it on, level 1, level 2, or press and hold to off it. For the first display here, we can actually view the temperature, the battery, and then if you move down, basically the time used, the fuel consumption, and then the last one is actually your odometer, trip A, trip B, pretty standard, and of course your petrol balance here, and then other than that you have your other left right signal, high beam, low beam, pretty standard stuff here. Okay, on this side of the handle you got a throttle, kill switch, start, and then of course the handguard and rectangular mirrors. Unlike the Forza 350, this one doesn't come with the the road sync or the Honda app thing to control. I mean, it's cool to have, but maybe it's not essential. So this is the low setup. We will try the low setup and then we will move on with a higher one once we hit the highway. Okay, so pushing down from the main stand. Okay, the bike isn't too heavy. Okay, let's start the bike. Okay, so as you can see, I'm dipping toe on the ADV350. Is if you want to be more confident in terms of flat footing, you can move forward. Of course, you don't sit onto the seat fully anymore. Okay, pretty okay, so let's move. So the riding ergonomics is more upright, right? Then we find that the handlebar is taller or positioned higher as compared to the Forza 350. Okay, the ride feel is pretty similar to the Forza 350, where you feel that it's pretty sleepy at certain RPM. Okay, let's try again, slow down. So if you push it a little bit harder, you can actually feel the torque. But I don't know, maybe it's me not riding a scooter for some time or whatnot. I felt that the throttle is a little bit heavier as compared. Okay, trying to ride on uneven road. So the suspension is on the tougher side. that it doesn't really absorb a lot of the pump. So one thing we forget to do earlier on, let's find a place that we can settle down, is to reset the fuel economy, and then after we ride for a period of time, we will see how much is actually the fuel economy based on our riding habit. So the footrest is a little bit smaller, I felt, because the inner side of your feet, you can't really actually fit into the floorboard. Yeah, the suspension is on the stiffer side. Yes, it's more sporty than it's more off-road oriented, because I can clearly feel the bump. The engine brake is also quite noticeable. Okay, so as you can see, this part of the feet area is a little bit too small, so your feet don't feel very comfortable because you are touching the panel always. The forward control is also very small, so you can see almost two-thirds of your feet is outside the board. Okay, and this one you have to use two hands to raise it up. So you can see it's vibrating, so the vibration is pretty strong. For the support of the windshield is not that great. You can feel it from the handlebar too, not really significant. Okay, so that's quite common for a single cylinder, but it's using a fat handlebar. Okay, the pickup is really good. There's not much delay on it. But the suspension is really too hard to my liking as a ADV, sort of like an adventure off-road capable bike. Okay, the brakes are pretty sharp for both front and rear. One thing I noticed is the visibility of this dash is pretty dim. Even this is on the brighter setup, so it's pretty reflective also, and this little shield is not really doing its job really well. Okay, the acceleration is good. Let's see whether we can squeeze through like this little bike. So no issue. The bike is pretty light, okay? It doesn't feel top heavy or whatnot. Makes sense because all the weight are at the bottom. Okay. So it's a little bit torquey on the start off. So it revs up pretty quickly. I'm only like 1/3 of the throttle, and it's around 5,000 RPM now. So let us try to gain up to speed. So you are at around what, 5,006, 5,008 when you are cruising around 90. So a little bit of numbing vibration, but nothing much. So the ADV350 is still very stable. So in terms of highway cruising, I don't think it's any issue with that. Okay, so anything above 6,000 RPM, I think the pickup or the acceleration will be significantly milder. So this is really good at low speed pickup. I think it makes sense if you really want to bring this through off-road or use it as a city scooter hooligans riding style. So the interesting part is, I don't know, is it me or the weather or the bike? I can feel a lot more engine brake here in this ADV350 than a regular scooter. Okay, good brakes there, very sensitive. Okay, so I guess it's peak hour. We gotta do some lane splitting here. No issue with that. The bike generally is not that huge as the 750. In terms of weight, it's pretty much similar to the Forza 350. Okay, let us exit the highway. Okay, the suspension is really firm, so I think it's good where you ride it a little bit sporty, and it also gives a very firm brake feel when you try to stop the bike because the suspension is firm and assuring, so it gives you a lot of confidence in hard braking. So we try to do a U-turn here and then re-enter the highway. So U-turn not that hard. Okay, so if you want to, you can actually do it within a single lane. So we gotta find a place to stop and then raise the windshield to a higher mode before we enter back to the expressway and see how much difference does it make. Because this is, I think, not the highest, but somewhere in between. So you see, doing this requires 2 hands, so it's pretty annoying. So this is the third, and this is the tallest. So at the tallest, it's up to my eye level or slightly lower. We shall see how it goes. Okay, so our average fuel consumption right now is 29.2. So we got some issue with the camera, so now it's all clear and set. So the interesting part about the Honda bike is you only can squeeze the rear brake to start the bike. So I guess that is part of the safety feature. So right now what we have done is we already moved the screen to the top level, and then we are going to enter the expressway again. And to see if there is any significant difference in terms of wind protection. So far, I don't feel any. I still feel very airy all around my body. Yeah, I think after 5,000-ish RPM, so generally the torque itself is gone. So it's really torquey at the start, but once it reaches a certain RPM, you felt less acceleration after that. So I think it's anything that is pre-5,000, it's very torquey. So I guess although it's an ADV, generally the suspension travel is not that long. It doesn't give you that very soft plush ride from the get-go. Okay, we are heading out to the Buona Vista Road. Speed camera, just take note. So it's keeping a healthy 520-ish kind of mileage. So right now we will go for some spirited ride and then see how it goes. So if I turn off the TC, okay, so I will see how much of a difference does it delivers in terms of acceleration. And of course with the traffic light we go slow. Okay, slightly better. I think on a higher rev it actually deliver slightly more punch. So let's try TC1, half a TC. See how it goes. Okay, by the way, there's a small little glove box here, which is not really big and it's not lockable. You can put your handphone and your wallet inside. I think that's about it. And there's a USB-C kind of port inside there for you to charge your phone. And this thing is, I think, a bit weird in terms of the direction of opening. So it's like that instead of like that. So if you press like that, it doesn't open. So if you press, it opens this way. So as per usual, on the right side, there's nothing here for Honda bikes. Okay, same. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, Okay, so of course the traction control doesn't make much of a difference, as this is not a very high power bike. Okay, so this is pretty sporty bike which you can lean it. It does lean really well. Okay, the other thing I realized while riding through this, more than 30 minutes, I felt that the seat is pretty hard. As much as I like to sit on it, I don't think I can sit it more than 2 hours in a row on this seat. It's pretty flat. I think it's very similar to the Forza 750 where there's a flat spot, but it's very, I don't know, it just feels a little bit too hard on the bum. Not really. I guess the firm suspension really makes it a little bit sportier than it's supposed to be as a off-road or as an adventure bike. I mean, it's good for the tarmac, but not so great at all this bumpy, lumpy road. So this setup makes the bike really nimble, but it really sucks at absorbing all this bump, be it in high speed or lower speed. It might be disguised as an ADV, an adventure bike, but deep down inside it might be more sportier than it is in terms of adventure. So I don't feel very comfortable doing this on this ADV because my feet is actually not very securely planted on the floorboard, and the back lumbar support is not that tall to be used as a backrest. So I don't think you will enjoy sitting on the ADV350 for long, especially if you are clocking long miles and with sort of like a less than ideal kind of road. So the fuel consumption is still hovering around 28 kilometers per liter, as we can see here. Okay, so who will like this bike? I would say if you are into the looks of a ADV but a performance of a sportier scooter, then this might fit the bill. If you have the impression that this is a pure ADV bike where you can clock long distance on it, I don't think this will be a good choice. Because the suspension is a little bit stiffer and the seat comfort is not as comfortable. The leg spacing is a little bit awkward, in the sense that the spacing of that floorboard is a little bit too tiny to my liking personally. But I would say that the handling of the ADV350 is really good. Okay, I like the low speed acceleration. Okay, and also like the firmness of the suspension to keep the bike really sharp, nimble in terms of steering it and also braking. The bike is also not that wide, that doesn't allow you to do lane splitting. Not that bad, not too hot after an hour ride. So everything is nice and a little bit warm. It's still a very good daily ride. So with all this factor in place, the bike is actually a little bit more premium than the Forza 350, or if you're comparing with the X-Max 300. But since we are back in the city, we will keep the screen to the minimal. Okay, this one requires two-hand operation, so it's a bit tough when you're riding, so you have to really come to a stop in order to do it. I guess it's safety purpose. Sometimes I find it a bit hassle to do it because when you're on the right, you can adjust and feel it. But anyway, the windscreen is mainly aesthetic, not much of a wind protection per se. You won't be adjusting it that much either way. Okay, so this is the limit of lane splitting. These are really tight. I guess only the cups can do it because it's torquey on the lower rev. So generally when you open close throttle, it feels a little bit jerky. So because it's towards the sportier range, so it's not comfortable when you are doing mindless riding or when you are trying to fight through traffic in the peak hours. Alright guys, we gotta return the ADV350. So thank you for watching this video on this test ride of the ADV350. Hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye.